Welcome to this very special edition of the Author's Voice with KAJ, a show where we explore the stories behind the stories. Here we dive into the worlds created by authors, discover their inspirations, and ensure that you walk away enriched and inspired. And today we have with us author Betsy Pepine, best-selling author, speaker, and serial entrepreneur in real estate. And today we'll be talking about her book, Breaking Boxes, Dismantling the Metaphorical Boxes that Bind Us. Welcome to the show, Betsy.
Oh, thank you. So happy to be here.
You're welcome. Welcome once again, this time on the Author's Voice with KAJ. And that is where, because we'll be focusing about your book, this particular book, Breaking Boxes, Dismantling the Metaphorical Boxes that Bind Us. So let's ask about your journey, first to being an author. How did you become an author? Conscious choice or not so conscious, just it came along the way?
It was a very conscious decision. I had wanted to be able to call myself an author for a long time. And I've always journaled. I've always written, things in my journal and practice of gratitude. And I love the art of writing and see it as a creative outlet. Like I love to be creative with art and really appreciate good writing. And so, yes, it was definitely a conscious decision. The topic was something that I was always uncertain about. And that's why it took me a long time to actually become an author, because a lot of people in my industry, they'll write lead generation books. We call them lead gen books. So you write a book, not really for a specific message, but more to get people to your product or your service. And I didn't want to write that. That was not something that was appealing to me, because it wouldn't have been a creative challenge. It would have been more of a marketing initiative for my business. And that's not what I really wanted to do. And so the topic did come. It took me several years to figure out what would make basically my heart sing in being an author, and what message did I want to put out into the world. And so a very conscious decision, but did take a while.
Absolutely, Betsy. So we'll come to the book. Book is on the screen, as you can see, for the audience. We'll come to the book. But first, generally people will think Betsy is someone, Pepine Realty named as, 5,000 fastest growing private company in the US multiple times, getting top 50 Florida companies to watch, several other things. Wall Street Journal consistently recognizing your real estate team as one of the top producing here. So people will generally think it must be on real estate. Why this sudden deviation? Or is there any bit of real estate into this?
There are stories in the book about my journey finding myself in boxes in the real estate profession and industry, but it is definitely not a business book about how to build companies or how to do well in real estate. Because for me, I do that every day. It wouldn't have been a challenge for me to write that. I feel like I teach it. I'm mentors. I used to be a coach. Like that's all I know and do. And so yes, I could have written a book about that, but it just wouldn't have been exciting for me. And I wouldn't have felt like I made the impact. I feel like I've already made an impact in that space. And I wanted to do something that was a creative challenge, a challenge to me in terms of being vulnerable and getting a message out there that I thought needed to be heard. So that's why I did that. And it definitely is a deviation. Like I broke the box in that. I mean, most people, again, like I said, would have just written a book on real estate and made it a lead gen for their business. But I tend to not go with the masses.
Absolutely. And that is where let's come to the story itself, the breaking boxes part. What is this story all about? What boxes do you talk about breaking and metaphorical boxes and all that stuff? Help us understand from the details of the book.
Yeah, the metaphorical boxes that I referred to, these are the attitudes, the beliefs, the opinions, mainly of others, of society, of our religions, of our culture, of our races, of our gender, of our industry, of our friends and family and peers, and how that impacts us and the choices that we make. And at times it can feel very confining to us. So I list probably 30 different types of boxes. So it could be the confinement I have felt being a female in our society and in the business world. It could be a time when I felt confinement based on the expectations that I felt that my parents had on me, the career that they wanted for me and thought was, the most esteemed profession there could be. And when I deviated from that, going against what was really ingrained in me from a child, and how difficult that was, but how yet freeing it was. It could be the labels that we put on our roles. Like, what does it mean to be a good mother, a good father, a good husband, a good wife, a good daughter, a good son, based on your family of origin and based on the culture that you are in. So I talk about all those kinds of boxes in this book.
Absolutely. So these are very difficult topics, means so many things to talk about. How did you decide? Because this book can become very voluminous, and you have to also keep your audience in mind.
Yeah.
Help us understand your writing process. How did you get to writing this book and putting it all in order? It sounds easy sometimes, you got to
Yeah.
put some things together, but it's not. These boxes, you got to put so many things in this one box of our book.
Yeah. It was hard. So the process was, well, one, I committed to, because I said, how can I do this and not have it disrupt my life? And so I committed to an hour of writing a day. I gave myself a year. I hired a book coach who I submitted, I think it was 20 pages every 2 weeks. So it kept me accountable to that schedule. And so I would write these stories. So then once I had all the stories, then I had to figure out, how do I assemble it in a way that makes sense to somebody who doesn't know me or my life. And what made the most sense for me was not categorizing the stories by the type of boxes that I was describing in the stories, but more of a before, middle, and after my journey of uncovering the boxes. And so the first set of stories is really describing the boxes that I was in, but I wasn't even aware that I was in a box. And that's the first step to getting out of a box, is awareness that you're even in one. And the middle stories are more about me slowly beginning to realize, wait a minute, I'm in boxes that are confining me. That means there's choices outside of the boxes, and I can make a move outside them, but something is holding me in them. And what is that? And I discuss the major fears that hold people in boxes that no longer serve them. And then the last set of stories are stories about me, very clear examples of me understanding, yes, I'm in a box, understanding when it's no longer serving me, and creating a plan to exit the box gracefully.
Absolutely. So, Betsy, who is this particular book for?
It's, that's what my coach was like, who is the avatar? And I think the people, everyone, it's gotten great I've gotten great feedback from it. I think women in particular identify more, or what I've found from the book is that when I look at who's reviewing the book, it's more women than men. And it's more women. I'm 56, and it's more women who are, I would say, 35 to 65, in the same kind of boat that I was in when I talk about these stories. But having said that, I just spoke at a fairly predominantly male industry conference down in Tampa, and they loved it. So, it does resonate with a lot of people, because men are put in boxes too. I think men, from what I've found, are less likely to talk about it, but there's a lot of stereotypes and labels placed on men in our society. And maybe women are just more open to talking about it, or more open to sharing their thoughts with me after they've read the book. But it's really a universal topic. Across all races, the gender, ages, although I think, when I talk to my children about it, they're in their 20s. I think it's harder for younger people to recognize the boxes. And so I think it's definitely geared towards people in their maybe mid 30s and up.
Absolutely. And did you also talk about the metaphorical boxes in real estate? Did you, by any chance,
Well,
mention any?
it's funny because I see boxes every day in real estate, the very physical boxes, and there's a lot of similarities because, boxes in real estate, they're meant to be temporary. They keep us safe, just like metaphorical boxes. Metaphorical boxes keep us safe. We know what to expect when we're in the box. We know what our family expects from us. We know what roles we're supposed to play based on where we are in our family order, or what family we're born into, or what race we're born into. But they're boxes, for the most part, are meant to be temporary. They're a safe holding space for a short period of time, and then we dismantle them and we put them out on the curb for the garbage pickup. But we sometimes forget and overstay our welcome. So I talk about that. In real estate, yes, I talk about, oftentimes, sadly, and we're trained not to, everybody has biases. And so we often judge one another. We judge fellow real estate agents. We judge our customers based on sometimes just physical appearances alone, which is terrible. And so we mentally put people in boxes. It's a human condition. The minute we hear them talk, the minute we see them, and it's brought a greater awareness to those who have read the book. Not only am I being put in boxes, but hey, wait a minute, I'm also putting other people in boxes, perhaps unfairly.
Right. So if we think that boxes protect us for temporary we create, why do this become permanent? Means, how should I understand whether I'm creating a permanent one or a temporary one only for, it's just like a template for short term.
Yeah. And I mean, so it's hard because some boxes I never want to exit. So for example, I have an identical twin sister. That twin box I so cherish. I never want to exit that box, right? So it's not like all boxes have to be temporary. What I have found is when I know that the box should be temporary is when I start feeling out of alignment. And usually what I have learned is that your body will tell you before you can rationally know that and logically know that. So the more you are in tune with how things make you feel, the quicker you will ascertain if this box is serving you or not. And that was something that I struggled with. I was so conditioned to ignore how my body felt, what my emotions were, and jump to logic. And that's when I tended to overstay in boxes that no longer serve me.
Absolutely. What was the most challenging part of writing this book? Was it easy, very difficult? No book is easy, but I just want to understand it from your point of view.
For me, the most difficult part, and I knew that, and that's the reason I wrote it, was that for me, I felt very exposed and very vulnerable. And, like I said, if I had written a book on how to build a business or how to do well in real estate, that would not have put me outside of my comfort zone. So opening up to my personal life and my personal stories and sharing when I, did things wrong and what I learned from that, and what I've learned about myself and putting other people in boxes, it's you feel very exposed and vulnerable. And so hitting that submit button to my publisher, I sat on that for days because I was so scared of feeling so exposed and fearing what other people would think. But it's been wonderful. I mean, it's been so well received. It had the impact that I wanted. So I'm so glad I did it. But that was definitely the hardest part for me.
Absolutely. So, Betsy, in a nutshell, what are the key messages, insights that you want readers of this book to take away with them after reading?
Yeah. So the key insights that I would love someone to take away is to understand what boxes are, what role they're currently playing in your life, how can you gracefully exit those that are no longer serving you, and what boxes might you be putting others in that is not serving them and not serving your relationship with them.
Yeah. Absolutely. So this is one book. Any other book in the pipeline? You are in the real estate, so many insights to share.
Yeah. Well, we're launching a course this week that's a companion to this book. So for people who want to break out of their own boxes, the course will help you do that. I have thought about a companion book to this, more like prompts and journaling. I think if I were to write another book full book that has nothing to do with this, it would be a real estate book. Now that I've conquered the biggest fear of mine, I think I would perhaps write a book on real estate and what I do in my everyday life.
Absolutely. There's so much to learn about boxes,
Mhm.
and I'm sure, and also about real estate. So this book is already out. People will certainly want to, and also about the course.
Yeah.
People will certainly be interested in knowing about. So what's the best way for them to connect with you?
So I have a website, my name, betsypepine.com. I'm also on all the social platforms with my name at Betsy Pepine, except for TikTok, where I'm on TikTok, I'm Gainesville Realtor.
Absolutely. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of The Author's Voice with KAJ. Thank you so much indeed for joining
Thank
us.
you. Thank you.